Hey everybody, it's me, CrazyFrankie, and I'd like to welcome you to my Week 13 for Key Game Picks. We're down to 4 weeks left of the regular season, everybody. As we're heading into December now, this is it. It is crunch time for a lot of teams. And the thoughts on week number 12, well, let me start with the Texans-Lions game on Thanksgiving. Now, it was kind of an unusual game, and I do agree with a lot of Lions fans that the officiating in that game, that controversial play where Foster's knee was down, but yet they didn't stop the play and him scoring, and he scored a touchdown. I think to me that was bogus, and the fact that it was not reviewable. I mean, that's the kind of thing I have a little bit of a problem with that rule. I still think in some circumstance it should be reviewed because, I mean, Schwartz had a right to make a case that his knee was down, and yet he was penalized for challenging it. I think somewhere down the line that rule needs to be tweaked a little bit. It needs to somewhat change. I mean, the Lions the last 2 games prior to that, they've lost some close games. I mean, they played their hearts out. I feel bad for if anybody was a Lions fan out there. I feel bad for you guys. I mean, those last 2 games, I mean, you guys got screwed by the refs. I mean, that to me was just bogus. Anyways, looking back on the entire week, Giants got back on track, beating the Packers. Well, the Packers had injuries, so it was kind of an unusual circumstance for them. But once they get the players healthy, Jennings is set to return pretty soon. Won't be long before Matthews comes back as well. To me, the Packers could be a very dangerous team down the stretch. So anybody in the NFC right now, you better watch out for the Packers. I think to me, they could be the most dangerous team if they can hold on to their playoff spot. They still have one more showdown with the Bears for first place on the line for the NFC North division. I mean, I still have a little bit of prediction. I think I might be right that I think they will win the division. But you never know. I mean, the Bears team, they finally got Jay Cutler back, and they had an excellent win over Minnesota last week. As far as the AFC, like I said, talking about Houston, they were lucky to get a win in Detroit on Thanksgiving. Baltimore, don't even get me started on that 4th and 29 thing, because people who know me very well, you know I am a Chargers fan. And hey, I mean, I did pick the Ravens to win, but I thought the Chargers had that game won, but pretty much their season is over. I really don't want to talk about them anymore. They're done. Their season is over, and I hope Norv Turner gets fired, and I hope A.J. Smith also gets fired. I really hope. Anyways, AFC seedings at the moment, Houston, Baltimore, New England, Denver are your top 4 seeds, the ones that are currently leading the division. Indianapolis and Pittsburgh, believe it or not, Pittsburgh's still hanging on to that 6th seed. I don't know how they're doing it, but if they don't get Roethlisberger back as soon as possible, they could slip, because remember, Cincinnati's not far behind. They're 1 game behind them. And the Dolphins are starting to make a surge as well, so better look out for them. NFC, Atlanta, San Francisco, Chicago, and New York Giants are your top 4 seeds. Your 5th seed is the Packers, and the 6th seed is the Seahawks. And really right now, that NFC conference is really getting interesting. I mean, there's a lot. I mean, these next few weeks, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see who will get those last 2 spots. I think, to me, it will come down to the 6th seed, who would get in. The Seahawks have a lot to lose right now if they don't get back on track. I know they're not a good road team, but they're going to have to win these very important games if they want to hold on to that 6th seed. And it's going to be difficult for them down the stretch. If they can't win on the road, I see them losing that 6th seed, somebody else getting in. Anyways, enough about the playoff race going in. Let's talk about Week 13. I'm gonna make this quick, guys. I mean, I know it's been really busy for me these last few weeks. It's been very hard for me to get things done, even though I've been able to get the videos up. Anyways, enough about that. First key game, Minnesota and Green Bay. This is a big one, especially for Minnesota as they're trying to fight for that 6th seed. I know the Packers currently are the 5 seed, and they're still dealing with injuries right now. And I know they got killed by the Giants last week. But I think they turn it around this week. They won't go on a losing streak. I don't see it happening. Even though Adrian Peterson has a chance to really burn the Packers defense, but the Packers are on a mission here, and they know that every game matters from this point on. Their offense, they'll get back on track. Defense, I know, is still a question. Remember, Matthewson and Woodson are not there. But I think the Packers offensively will have enough to beat Minnesota. Minnesota's an on and off team. You never know with them. So I'm going to go with the Packers here. The Packers will beat the Vikings. Key game number 2, the Chicago Bears and the Seattle Seahawks. This game is in Chicago. Mentioning the Seahawks and how bad of a road team they are, well, just look at their game last week against the Dolphins. And then look, their defense right now does have some issues. And like I said, they're not a road team. And I think, to me, it's going to be the same thing going into this week. The Bears, they got Cutler back. They had an excellent offensive week. They had a good offensive game against the Vikings last week. So it's probably going to be the same against the Seahawks. The Seahawks, if they can't win on the road, I mean, they're just a bad road team altogether. So I'm going to go with the Bears here. I mean, for the Seahawks, it's key. They need these wins badly, or they're gonna fall out of that 6th seed if they don't win these important games. And this is a big one here. You got to win on the road here. The Bears right now, they're trying to keep their lead in the NFC North division because they know the Packers are right there. So I would say the Bears, they will hang on at least for one more week until they meet the Packers soon. So I'm going to say the Bears win. It'll be the Bears will beat the Seahawks. Will it be a close game? It might be close, but I think the Bears have enough to pull it out. I'm going to say the Bears over the Seahawks. Key game number 3 is Tampa Bay and Denver. Tampa Bay, like going into the NFC conference again, they're still in the playoff hunt right now, and I know they had a terrible loss last week against the Falcons. It was a heartbreaker in the end, but will they win this week? I don't know. I mean, all odds in favor right now, Denver winning. I mean, Denver has a pretty comfortable lead right now in the AFC West. Everybody else in the division sucks, so there's no question. At 8-3, the Denver Broncos. I mean, the game is in Denver. Tampa Bay, they're not really a good road team either. And really, the Tampa Bay offense needs to really get back on track if they want to beat Denver. This game really is actually a toss-up because Tampa Bay is still pretty good. But in that thin air in Denver, I don't see them winning. The Broncos, they're jockeying for that 2 seed. They're trying to catch the Patriots and hoping to get that 2 seed and at least get the bye week in the playoffs. And their offense pretty much is still there. Defensively, I know there's questions still, but Tampa Bay going into Denver and beating them, I don't see it happening. The Broncos, I see them winning. It might be close, but no. I like Denver in this game. Denver will beat the Buccaneers. My final key game, the New York Giants and the Washington Redskins. Same thing with Washington in the NFC. They're also fighting for a playoff spot. They already lost the Giants once in a very, very heartbreaking loss. RG3, I mean, he's going to want revenge on his mind. But the Giants right now, they've had an excellent game against the Packers last week. I still like them to beat the Redskins here. They're getting it together. It's December, and going into December, they play well. November wasn't a good month for them, but it's a brand new month, and December is when they're going to get it done and make their case and finally win the NFC East Division. The Redskins, I think this might be their last shot because remember, if they lose this game, pretty much their playoff hopes maybe will dwindle right here because they really need this game more than the Giants do. But I don't see them winning. I think the Giants will go into Washington, and they're pretty much going to win that game. It'll be close, but I think with the offense finally getting it together from last week's game against the Packers, I think the Giants' offense is going to do it again. But it will be close, so it wouldn't surprise me one bit. So I'm going to say the New York Giants over the Washington Redskins. All right, everybody, that's it for my Week 13 picks. We're down to 4 weeks left. The playoffs are almost here, folks. The road to New Orleans is getting closer and closer every week. Check back on my blog at CrazyFrankie56.blogspot.com for the rest of my Week 13 picks. And I will talk to you next week for Week 14. Until then, I will see you all next week. Have a great football Sunday. Take care.